So we are going to continue talking about the efficient training sessions. And just as a short recap from what we discussed last time, a good training plan must have several things in common. And some of them are that it needs to be specific. What I mean by that is we need to know what is it that we are training? What are our goals for showing up and training our dog today? And what we call the final behavior, it's something that, again, we can describe with detail. And I will get into more detail myself in the next slide. So let's look at what criteria means. Criteria is the specific minute behavior that will be reinforced in a given training plan. What am I going to be paying the dog for? Now, let's take, for example, a sit. One could argue, well, a sit is a sit is a sit. Actually, it is not. First, we need to define what we mean by sit. So I'm going to say that sit is the dog placing its rear end on the ground. That is a basic definition of a sit. Now, is it a sloppy sit where the hip is not square and the dog is going to one side or the other? Or is it a square sit? A little bit like the photograph here on the right. Did I have to lure this sit, use something in order to get the dog into that position? Or was it a non-lure sit? I didn't have to use my hand, for example, or food in order to get the dog in that position. Did I just use my verbal cue, sit, and the dog went into that position? So as you can see, there's many gamuts that can describe a behavior. Now let's look at parameters. And first, the definition is the specific conditions of the training plan. So we take, for example, the wait at the door behavior. First, we need to define what wait is. For me, wait means that the dog is not going to cross the threshold. And the threshold could be the door, or it could be a bend on a hike if I'm hiking with my dog off leash, or it could be not jumping off the car if I open the hatchback and the dog needs to stay in there until I release the dog. So again, I just gave you many examples of how wait can look. So again, if you have specificity about what you want and what you are going to be paying or reinforcing the dog for, your training sessions are going to go exponentially up, and you and your dog are going to be happier campers. Now let's look, for example, again, parameters when it comes to recall or come when called. A parameter could be that I am practicing recall with my dog on a long line, 30 feet long line. Well, that's a very different scenario or conditions to recall the dog back than if I had the dog completely off leash. So say that the dog is completely off leash. Am I going to call the dog back when the dog is 10 feet away? When the dog sees another dog and is kind of ready to go say hi? Those are different conditions or parameters that will determine what the result will be and what I'm going to be paying the dog for. So if I just show up and I say I'm going to work on recall, but I have no idea of the conditions of my training plan, it's going to be very frustrating for both parties and really unfair to the dog. So I hope, again, that these ideas will start percolating in your mind when you're getting ready to work with your dog, or if you're working with a pro, you might be able to ask for clarification as to what exactly are you guys going to be doing and perhaps why. What is the point of us doing this type of work? See you next time. Bye-bye.